Hello everybody, Oliver G here from the Eiffel Tower, and today we're talking about how to plan the ideal trip to Paris. I'm here with two Paris planning experts. It's Bertrand and Marie from My Private Paris, and they're going to be breaking down the top 5, the big 5 if you will, things to do in this city as we watch them go by from this private boat on the Seine River. Are you ready? Let's do it. Bertrand d'Allemand, ça va?
Très bien, toi, Oliver.
I'm pretty good, to be honest, especially because I know we're sitting on a boat.
A private boat?
Private boat is kind of my happy place in Paris.
Is it?
I think so. Question before we get into anything. Seeing the city from the river, is it a whole different vibe from walking?
Yes.
How so?
Very much so. First, we don't have cars around. We don't have people on bicycles. It feels really private, especially on this type of boat. And we get to see it from a different angle. We're a bit lower than on the regular streets. Yeah. And it gives us a wider perspective on the monuments, especially the big ones.
The big 5. Have you been to Africa?
I have been to Africa.
So you know they got the big 5 animals that you see?
Yes.
We're going to see the big 5 monuments, and I know already that your favorite monument in Paris, I think, is Notre Dame.
Yes.
True? Can we see it? Tell me about it. First, if we talk about planning the ideal trip to this city, should Notre Dame be an immediate put it to the top of your list kind of thing?
Honestly, whether it's your first time or your 100th time to Paris, not seeing Notre Dame after what has happened would be a crime. So yes, definitely go see Notre Dame, but be prepared that there are big crowds. I mean, the place was closed for more than 5 years. It burned. It was on live television worldwide. Yeah. It was rebuilt in a very extraordinary fashion, super quickly. So not seeing it would be a total disaster.
Just for people's perspective at home, how many times have you been inside Notre Dame?
Well, I started being a guide 15 years ago, giving tours around Notre Dame Cathedral. So how many times? I would say
exactly
1,236.
Oh, wow, really?
But roughly.
Yeah. Okay, so you put it to the top of the list. I think as we're recording this, the summer hasn't really come around. The crowds are already there. We talk about ideal travel planning. Can you set people some expectations about how to get in, best ways to see it? You need to get a ticket, that kind of stuff?
So that's the new thing. It's the possibility to book a ticket, which is a timed entry inside the cathedral. If you do so, there is a specific access through security, so it's not instant access inside, but it's very quick. If you don't, you have to go through a line. I can't really tell you how the line is going to be, but let's say that in the last 4 months, what I have observed as a guide is that after 9:45 a.m., the lines start to be big.
And it moves quickly, or?
It's a walking line, so it moves quickly. Don't be impressed. And if you can't get your hands on tickets because they are available on the day by 5 a.m., so it's, if you don't have tickets, you can still go inside the cathedral.
Right.
It's just that you'll have to go through a different security line. Again, it's a walking line. So the maximum would be like 25-30 minutes, which is not the end of the world. But if you don't want to do that, early morning is the best. 2
follow-up questions. Do you guys guide inside there?
So we will be allowed to give tours inside of Notre Dame after Pentecost, which is June 9th. Before that, the Diocese of Paris has asked guides to not give tours inside, so to leave 6 months for the worshippers only. So I'm hoping, I can't wait for June the 10th to actually be guiding actively inside of Notre Dame.
So for now, our guide's sort of based on the outside and telling you what to see on the inside?
Yes, correct.
Okay, and then the follow-up question was, I've never been to the top.
Never?
No. It was something that's why I started doing these bucket lists, because I always planned to go up there, and I was like, it'll always be there tomorrow or the next day or whatever. And then one day it wasn't. What's the deal with that? It's going to be a while till you can get up there again?
It has not reopened yet, but it will. The 2 bell towers are run by the National Monument Commission. So for now, the access is still not possible. They're trying also to think of having a better way, better experience. So it will reopen. Not yet.
Not yet.
We don't know how.
What's the official word for it up there? Is it like visiting the bell tower? Is that what you say?
The Tour de Notre Dame, the towers of Notre Dame.
Okay. Then last question on Notre Dame before we sit and enjoy the cruise a little bit. Do you think that visitors, whether it's their first or 50th time to city, do you think they should see Notre Dame as soon as you get here? Or
No,
towards the
not
end of the trip?
necessarily. What I would advise is get to Notre Dame early morning. Probably not on your arrival day. Most people arrive in the morning. Maybe the next day you'll be a bit tired. So a few days.
See it when you're ready.
Yes.
You know what I thought? The last thing I'll say here is when you said you're seeing the city from underneath, it reminds me of what you said about Gothic cathedrals.
Yes.
That
right?
idea of looking up as you walk in. It's almost like it was made to be seen like this.
It creates even more impression of having these rockets, on their way to heaven.
And I got to say, on a boat in the end of March 2025, it's looking pretty good. It looked pretty much almost ready.
I think we're very lucky to see it now.
Well, not long till we can go and visit the entire thing in the top. I'll be going there with you if you don't mind, because I want some of that knowledge.
Yeah, I will with pleasure, always.
Now, is it champagne?
Oh, why not?
Okay, all right. We've just lapped the Ile Saint-Louis and the Ile de la Cité, and now we're heading back towards the Louvre. We've talked about the Louvre before.
A few times.
Not just that, we've talked about champagne before. We're holding a glass of champagne
We
now.
went to Champagne.
We're experts. But I want to talk about the Louvre. I went to see the couture exhibition that you recommended. 10
Yes.
out of 10, I agree.
You're
It
right.
was really nice. And that's on for a while, so I can put my recommendation with yours on that one. But in terms of generally, the Louvre, I think people find it kind of daunting.
Very much so.
Fair?
Yes, it's unfair to the museum, but it's fair because most of the time the experience can be very exhausting.
Yeah.
Because it feels like you have to fight for every single square foot in the museum.
Yeah.
So that's why it's great to know how to manage your time and where to go when. First of all, you can book tickets online.
Yeah.
That will give you a time slot to enter the museum. Don't show up too much in advance, because up until your time is announced, they won't let you in. So don't show up like 20, 15 or 30 minutes before the entry time. Always on time. The second thing is the Mona Lisa is a fantastic painting, but everybody wants to see it most of the time for no other reason than just seeing it.
Yeah.
So the crowds are kind of directed to the Mona Lisa and then out.
Right.
So if you want to enjoy the museum properly, save that for the very end. Because if you go to the Mona Lisa for as the first piece of art you want to see, it is going to be exhausting no matter what.
Yeah.
When you go there, and then you will be okay. I want to be out.
Yeah.
But if you've saved it for last, you would have enjoyed the rest of the museum before.
Do you have a tip for my wife, Lena? Says that every time she tries to leave the Louvre, she ends up in the Egyptian section. Is this a problem for other people, or is that just my wife?
I would say, I have never heard that before.
That's something it's just a my wife thing by the sounds of it. In terms of, you said pick out other pieces to see before you get to the Mona Lisa. There's some insane number of actual pieces there.
Yes. So the way I always recommend to do is to pick 3 to 5 themes.
Themes even, okay,
Themes. Because there are over 35,000 artworks in the Louvre on display.
Yep.
And it covers 9,000 years of art history.
Right.
So what I think you should see in the Louvre is things that are really attractive to you. So paintings or sculptures or both. Ancient civilization like Greece, Egypt, Rome, Mesopotamia. You don't have to see it all. More Italian paintings, so more classical and religious, or more Dutch painting, which is most of the time intimate scenes, or furnitures from the French aristocracy, or medieval. So pick things that you are attracted to, and no more than 5, no less than 3.
You glossed over the medieval bit, which I think some would say is the most interesting. You're talking about the fortress downstairs?
I'm talking about the fortress, connected to a certain wall that you may have heard of.
Yes.
That, but also armors, also medieval art that would be shown in Gothic churches like Notre Dame or in Chartres, etc.
And it's behind us, I understand. So the last question before we skip to the Musée d'Orsay, which is on the other side, is how many times have you visited the Louvre Museum? And is it more than 1,233 like Notre Dame?
No, I think I've been twice as many times to Notre Dame as I have been to the Louvre.
Right.
But I would say, in the 500 something.
Right, oh my goodness. But if we're to talk about other famous museums, we can't miss the Musée d'Orsay, which I believe your colleague Marie Segura is an expert on.
Exactly.
So if you don't mind, I might leave you on this side of the bench as the Louvre passes
Please leave
in the
me. I have a
background.
glass of champagne to finish.
And I'm going to jump over to the other side of the boat. I'll talk to you later. And Marie Segura from My Private Paris. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
It's nice to see you on this lovely setting. You're more optimistic than the rest about the sun.
Let's hope for the best.
Are you an optimistic person?
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you live in Paris, I think you have to.
Do you think it's fair to say that this winter has been the worst winter known to man?
I think last year was not that great either, if you remember.
Where's that optimism?
No, we're going to get better. We're gonna
I
get
think so too, and I'm really
Okay.
looking forward to it. But I want to talk to you specifically about the Musée d'Orsay.
Yes,
I understand that you like it a lot. We talked
it's
about
my favorite.
Yeah. Why?
But first the paintings themselves, they're from the big masters such as Monet, Renoir, Van Gogh. I mean, you just are amazed with the vibrant colors and the thematic. The fact that they're all together in one single museum, and it's also a beautiful one. Just the train station itself is worth also a visit. So
Yes, because you talked about that on a recent episode, that storied history that it used to be a train station,
Yes.
and then not even that long ago it turned into a museum. I got the feeling it's looming over in the background. We're approaching it now.
Yes, we're arriving there.
So if we talk about it as being one of the big five, the main things to
Yes,
visit in Paris.
definitely.
Do you think that the typical visitor, when they're coming to Paris, do they also consider it to be a big five, or do you think that's...
Yes, I would think that a lot of people they know the Louvre for the Mona Lisa, but then they really want to see paintings that are hanged here at Musée d'Orsay. Yeah, so the five, yes. So yeah, a lot of people they know the Louvre for Mona Lisa, but all the rest they really want to see is here.
Well, what is the Mona Lisa of the Musée d'Orsay?
Oh, that's a hard question. I would say, I don't know, probably a Monet, but it's hard because some people they really want to see a Caillebotte, some people they want to see Cézanne. So I think there is as many Mona Lisa as there are artists.
That makes it more interesting, I think.
Yeah.
Because it's not like people go into this museum, and if you're listening to the podcast, I encourage you to come and watch this on YouTube because we're passing the Musée d'Orsay in the
just
background.
right here.
Also, it's worth watching the video because our hair is out of control. I don't know if you
A
feel
little
the
bit.
same.
Yes.
You can't appreciate that on the podcast. But it's interesting because I feel like the only thing I see people making a beeline towards in the Musée d'Orsay is the clocks at the top.
Yeah, I mean the clock is really fun. You can have your picture down just right here. The terrace also, you can go up the terrace and have a beautiful view on Paris. So yeah, besides the art, you also have the museum to explore and a great salle de bal and a great restaurant as well. So
Salle de bal, can you explain that? What is that?
Yeah, a dancing ballroom. It's this golden, beautiful room. It looks like you're in a palace, somehow.
It's not used for...
It's not anymore used for a dancing ball, but it used to be because the museum. So it's really focusing on the 19th century and the 19th century painter, but also art de vivre. Like dancing, going to the opera, having fun at night. That's exactly what you feel when you enter in the Musée d'Orsay.
Now, practically, from your perspective, I know that you guys do before it's open tours, which are popular with people who want to get in there and have it all to themselves. And I know you do tours as well, just typical tours showing people around.
Of course.
People who are planning out their trip, interested in a tour, will obviously have the links down below. But for everyone listening who's got this on their big five, is there a lot of preparation? Bertrand was talking about going to the Louvre, getting there at a certain time. Is it like that with the...
I would say it's a bit easier. Musée d'Orsay is easier. The best way to me is to go to they're doing these evening sessions, Thursday evenings. That's to me the best. It's much quiet, but of course in the morning time as well. But you don't have to prepare that much because it's not as it's not as crowded at the Louvre, and also people are just very respectful. They are more quiet. It's not as the Louvre needs to be like some physical and psychological preparation to go in. Here, no, it's laid back. It's very quiet.
Do you think that it attracts a different type of clientele, the Musée d'Orsay?
I would think so. I think Musée d'Orsay is, if you're in that matter of impressionism, then yes, you go. The Louvre, the thing is, some people, they don't really know why they have to go to the Louvre, right? Here they know. They know it's for Impressionism. They know it's the artist they love. So yes, I would say.
What about once way like 10 years ago on this podcast, I asked a woman about what wine I should order to sound a bit more sophisticated, right?
Yeah.
Do you think it sounds more sophisticated
To go to
say
Musée
that you
d'Orsay?
prefer the Musée d'Orsay? Because this is
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah, you're right.
So this is a great tip for anyone listening at home. When someone says, "Did you go to the Louvre?" If you respond, "Well, I much prefer the Musée d'Orsay," it makes you sound.
It could be a little bit snobbish, but it could be true as well. Like yeah, being like more. Again, if you know your art history and you know your artist, yes, Musée d'Orsay could be. Yeah.
Well, all the listeners at home will know now that when I say my favorite is Musée d'Orsay, I'm just pretending to be sophisticated. But good tips. Okay, onwards to the next of the big five, which I
Yes.
assume will include the
The Eiffel
at
Tower,
some
of
point.
course. Yes.
But until then, cheers to you, and
Cheers.
thanks for bringing me on this cruise.
My pleasure.
Oh, guys, you're both in for this one. Is that because you love the Eiffel Tower? Is that the vibe I'm getting from you?
We love the Eiffel Tower.
No, no.
Oh, Marie!
Marie, I know that the way you pronounce it is exactly the same, so I don't know which one you're really talking about. But I sense it's a compliment, and I'll
How
take
do you
it.
come up with that name?
I thought of every famous French word,
Yeah.
as in croissant, café, anything, red wine, whatever, vin rouge, and then I thought if there was anything that was a little bit like a podcast, like ear or whatever, and then it came to me, and I was like,
Boom.
that's the one.
Yeah.
And I'm still very proud of it. The Eiffel Tower podcast about Paris. Thanks for asking. No one's ever asked. But the Eiffel Tower itself is obviously probably the most emblematic thing of the whole city.
Yeah.
Should people be visiting it? That's a softball of a question. Is it something that people should make a beeline towards, or is it something that you should just see from the ground?
Well, I mean, to me, there is one way of seeing it is from here. It's from
From the boat.
Yeah, from the boat or from just the Seine, side. Yeah, because that's when you realize how big it is and how beautiful and all the details. When you're on it, it's not exactly the same. I mean, you do have the view on Paris, which is interesting, but the feeling of the entire thing, you have it only from there, from the ground.
There is something really. I mean, just like you guys. I mean, you grew up around here somewhere, right?
Yeah.
I've seen this a million times, and still, even just then, I kind of forgot that we're filming, and I wanted to just take a picture. And I'm like, what is it about the Eiffel Tower that makes it so attractive?
It's hypnotic, right?
It is hypnotic.
Yeah.
So what about actually going up there? Because I know that some people say the queues are too long, or it's getting too expensive, or what is your vibe?
It's so emblematic that it attracts lots of people,
Yeah.
but at the same time, it's a very small, it's a tall building, but it's a small area.
Eiffel Tower listeners on every boat. Yeah, but it attracts, what did you say? It attracts
So it attracts a lot of people. So of course, it takes time to go on the tower. Plus, if you want to go all the way to the top, it takes even more time
Yeah.
because there are 2 elevators to go all the way to the top. You can also use the stairs.
Yep. What do
The
you
best thing-
advise?
Well, as Marie said, for me, the Eiffel Tower is a beautiful. It's very elegant. I think that's why it's hypnotic. But it's a symbol of the city. To see it in a landscape of the city, either here from the boat or from different bridges, etc. It's to see it being part of Paris.
Yeah.
Going on the Eiffel Tower is exciting, but it doesn't. It's not what I would recommend the
Right.
most. But if you want to go there, 2 options. Either is you go. The easiest way to get tickets is actually to book a table for one of the 2
I was
restaurants.
going to ask about that.
Yeah,
okay.
for the restaurant, it's worth it because then you have the experience of food and the Eiffel Tower.
And what about the food?
What
Second
about it?
floor
Yeah.
is the Jules Verne.
No, but
They-
point out to me, because I've never done this before. Where?
Jules Verne is at the 2nd floor.
Okay, in the middle.
Okay? In the middle.
Yep.
It's when it is its 2nd Michelin star.
Yep.
It used to be too expensive for what it is.
Yeah.
Now, honestly, it's really, really great.
Okay.
On the first
And
floor,
once you buy a ticket for, or you reserve a space, they let you in the VIP elevator or something? Is that how it works?
they have their own elevator, although it does not include a ticket to the summit.
Yeah.
Okay. But after your lunch or dinner, you can explore the 2nd floor and the 1st floor at your want.
Right,
On the 1st floor, it's called Madame Brasserie.
right.
It used to be some kind of a cafeteria with baskets with, you know, industrial sandwiches and things like this. It's changed after COVID, so it's much better now.
Okay.
And they have sittings, 4 sittings, 2 for dinner, 2 for lunch.
Okay.
But what people don't know is that they also serve snacks in the afternoon and brunch on Sunday mornings.
Gosh, I had no idea.
So usually you go to the Eiffel Tower website to buy tickets. It's sold out almost instantly.
Right.
But you can still get a table to go on the tower for lunch, for dinner, at either of the 2 restaurants. Plus, to me, I think when people come to Paris, most of the time they want to maximize their time.
Yep.
And so in there you do both. You do a great lunch or a great dinner and the Eiffel Tower.
Good point. We're passing swans swimming in the Seine. And we're going to talk about the Seine more in greater depth in a second. But as for the Michelin star restaurant at the top, I don't know, I'm no Michelin star expert, definitely no expert foodie. But has that got a reputation of like... Yeah, is that...
It's great. It's great. I mean, it's you know, it's those kind of 5-course minimum experience. So it's going to take you a while. Like a lot of people doing that for lunch, but don't expect to do anything after because you know it's going to take you 2 hours and a half, 3 hours. But the quality is great. Yeah.
What about, there's some famous quote, was it Guy de Maupassant who said something about
the asparagus thing? Have you heard?
No, I want to hear that one too. But someone who said they like to eat lunch in the Eiffel Tower every day, so they don't have to look at that monstrosity.
Exactly.
Is that who is that?
Yeah,
is that?
Maupassant.
I don't believe that at all.
Yeah.
Do you really think that happened? That he said that and did that? That seems ridiculous.
It was pretty common at the time. I mean, when you look at it, it looks like it's very industrial, so it's very contemporary in a way.
Yeah.
But at the time when it was built in 1889, people were thinking that was a structural thing, but something was missing around.
Right.
Some wrapping, some beautiful, you know, wrapping of a statue or something. So yeah, no, I understand why it was complicated for them to...
Yeah, but this guy is giving them money every day to the one company that he doesn't like. This guy doesn't know what he's talking about.
Are you familiar with made-up quotes, Oliver?
Oh, no. I made a living from it. What's the quote about asparagus? Though?
Oh, he was also saying that looks like a giant asparagus right in the middle of Paris. Yeah.
Well, now with the Eiffel Tower firmly in the background, we sit and have another drink, I think.
Yeah.
And then discuss the Seine River itself.
Obviously.
Shall we?
Yeah.
Brilliant. So talking about the big 5, Marie and Bertrand, the big 2 I call you guys. we're on the Seine River, which surprise is the 5th of the big 5. Yes. So we talked about Notre Dame, we talked about the Louvre, the Musee, the Eiffel Tower, and then the 5th is the Seine.
Yes.
How did this get the 5th place?
Well, first, Paris started on the Seine River. If you see the symbol of Paris, it's a boat. So that makes sense that the Seine is now the heart of Paris, and still today it's something that you need to visit.
But explain, what do you mean it started on the river? How do you mean?
So you see this little island, Ile de la Cité, that was, you know, the birthplace of Paris. And so all around you had the river, and the river was carrying the people, but also the material and everything that, you know, make Paris grow. And still today it's it's a bit more touristy than it used to be, but
fewer Vikings as well.
Fewer Vikings, but I mean it's still a great frontier, you know, to the external world.
Right, right. And in terms of today, you said it's more tourists.
Yes.
Is that a good thing, bad thing?
I mean, for a long time, the river was also a place for working. Like a lot of people were actually washing clothes here.
Is that what these hooks are? These big...
those way to tie boats.
That's what I always wondered, yeah.
You had somebody, I mean, some people are working still, like the policemen that are just right here.
They're waving to us.
And the firemen. But all of those were for boats, or also to put some chains also in some of the locations.
And in terms of, I think because the Seine is such a passive part of Paris, it's just always there running through it. Some people will never step on a boat going through it. Do you feel that they're missing out? Is this the way to get amongst it and actually experience it rather than it being a passive background?
I think so, yeah. Marie said it very well. It's the blood and vein of Paris, and if you don't take the time to either sit by the docks or take a cruise, you will miss something of Paris, which is to be living along the river Seine.
Right.
So there are many ways to do that. You can take a walk, you can just sit, you can have a picnic by the river, you can be on a boat.
You can walk on those beautiful bridges.
That's what I was going to say. You mentioned walking, and critiquing the bridges is a large part of that. People at home, if the audio sounds different in the podcast version of this, it's because sometimes we're going under these bridges. And right now we're going under the Pont Alexandre III. In terms of the Paris bridges, yeah, that's what I was going to say. Which is it?
Bridge.
Where does the Pont Alexandre III rank among the bridges of the city for you guys?
To me, it's the most beautiful one.
Yeah.
First, there is gold on it.
Yeah.
So just starting with that. Also the location with here Le Grand Palais, the Champs-Élysées on one side,
Yeah.
the Invalides on the other. Of course, it's make it even more majestic, and it's also very oftenly used in movie clips or
Yeah.
in
And weddings. A lot of people go and have their wedding
Weddings,
photos
yes,
there.
for sure.
What about you, Bertrand? Favorite bridge?
My
Is that your wedding bridge?
my favorite bridge. I mean, this one's the most iconic. My favorite one is the Pont des Arts,
Yep.
which is a pedestrian bridge
Yep.
between the Louvre and the French
It's more
Institute.
artsy.
Yeah, it's more poetic in a way.
Yeah.
The other one is more charismatic.
Right.
Yeah.
You know which I proposed to Lena, my wife,
No.
on a Paris bridge.
Really?
Which one?
Pont du Carrousel.
Oh.
You know which one I'm talking about
Yes.
immediately? That's where we met just today.
Oh.
As in, that's where we met for this boat cruise. But
Why did you pick that one?
I didn't really. It was just there when I was.
Because you were on the most romantic place.
I was on the most romantic walk of my
The
life.
Seine River.
Yeah, something like that. But
Quick question: did she say yes?
look. But in terms of
that time, maybe you asked a second time.
No, that could be true actually. But in terms of this whole episode is about the ideal way to plan a trip to Paris. How much do you think people should be thinking about the Seine and how to include that in their plans?
I think include it for sure, especially on the first time in Paris,
Yeah.
or if you haven't been in a while,
Yeah.
because it gives you a way to rediscover the city. You can't imagine how many, even locals, who have cousins or family visiting, and they'll be, okay, I'll take the Seine cruise, and then they will be, wow, it's actually more
Definitely.
beautiful than they anticipated. So of course, some people don't want to be on a big boat with 500 other people and being closed, etc. So it's a more refined way to do that. But honestly, you can't get tired of cruises on the River Seine.
To me, my favorite time, if I had to select one to do such a cruise, it's at the end of the day. Like you've been walking all day, you've been in the museum with people, you just want to relax, you want to just chill, but still continue to explore Paris, evening time, either for dinner cruise or just like a private cruise like we're doing now. But at the sunsets, it's magical.
Can't be
To
better.
me, it's completely different from any other.
And here comes summer when we've got some great sunsets ahead of us. As for you guys, when it comes to the Seine, you guys can organize cruises like the one that we're on, but also dinner cruises as well, as I understand.
Yes.
Not to mention walks all over the place near the Seine. Anyone at home or watching at home, keep in mind My Private Paris for booking anything of that nature in Paris or beyond. But for us, I think we should sit and enjoy the rest of this cruise with this delightful champagne. And I say thank you so much for this wonderful season of the Eiffel Tower and for showing me so much of Paris and beyond.
Merci Oliver, there was a lot of...
Took me a long time to memorize all of that. But for everybody listening at home, there'll be show notes below with how to find My Private Paris. For everybody watching at home on YouTube, there will be... I mean, if you're listening to this episode, you should really go and watch the whole thing because it's a very visual feast, I think, this one. And Paris, I might say, is a movable feast.
Let's say it.
So on that note, let's have
Another made of quote.
With champagne.
a drinkable feast for now. And thanks for being on the show and thanks for making all this season happen.
Merci Oliver.
For everyone at home, we'll be back again with another episode next week. Thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and ciao for now.
Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.